So as we go ahead and wrap up February and head into March, I am sure that we're all looking forward to spring and warmer weather, especially in certain parts of the country, such as the Northeast. However, I am for one that do not stop flying in the winter months, and I've actually found myself getting quite acclimated and comfortable when flying in cold temperatures. In today's video, I'm going to give you some top tips when flying in the cold weather. What's going on, guys? This is Eddie, aka Mr. Eddie Nunez, and flying in the cold wasn't something that I used to look forward to. In fact, previously when I first started flying drones about 5 years ago, when the colder climates hit, especially here in the Northeast in New York City, I would go ahead and make sure my batteries are in storage mode, and I would kind of put them away and only fly them in those unique opportunities when we had warmer climates, and I'm talking about 40 degrees versus minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit. But over the course of time and through my experience, I have found that flying in cold temperatures, especially during the winter months, gives you some phenomenal perspectives. Think about water turning into ice, so things like rivers, waterfalls, lakes, etc. And also flying the same locations that you typically fly, but now with some snow added into the mix for that unique transformation, which I think is phenomenal. However, when flying drones in cold climates, there are things that you need to consider not only for your drone, but also for your own safety. And in today's video, although we are approaching spring, I want to go ahead and take some time to reflect back on my journey flying in the cold temperatures and give you my top tips for flying in the snow or in colder climates. So let's get this video started. So from experience, the number one issue I have when flying in colder climates such as the winter is that my fingers freeze up and get really uncomfortable to the point that I can't touch my RC screen, and I really can't control the gimbals on my remote to ensure that I get the shot. However, through experience and the various years of flying, I have now found my perfect comfort zone when flying in the winter, and I'm going to tell you about that right now. So in the past, the number one issue I had when flying my drones in the winter months is having my fingers get cold, which hindered my ability to tap on my remote or tap on my phone when accessing different settings, like changing my aperture, changing my shutter, going from photo mode to video mode, etc. But also battling the cold where my fingers almost get numb, and I really had a tough time controlling the sticks, controlling the gimbals on my remote. However, through my experience and over time, I have actually found my sweet spot when flying in winter months. And that sweet spot, hands down, is flying from the comfort of my car. So flying from your vehicle, I think, is the number one tip that I can offer you when flying a drone in winter months. The car is a perfect place because you are sort of protected in your vehicle. but you also, being kept warm. You have your heater on, and you can continue to maintain visual line of sight of your drone. Now, these drones here with me today, I have the Air 3 and the Avata 2, which are the two drones that I've been flying the most. With these drones, they both have OcuSync 3, and I found that flying from the car does not hinder my transmission system at all, my transmission signal. These drones do a phenomenal job making sure that you get the signal penetration that you're looking for. Now, let me caution you, when I am flying from my car, I make sure that I position myself, I position my vehicle strategically in a place where I am going to have visual line of sight of my drone, whether that's through my sunroof or through the front windshield, through the side mirror. I always want to make sure that I have visual line of sight. And more importantly, during those winter months where I am flying in my vehicle, I really keep my drone very close to me. Not only because I'm flying from the vehicle and it may make me sort of uncomfortable, but the second top reason is because of my battery. Yes, that's right, your battery. So battery during the winter months get tremendous amounts of sag. And with that being said, typically when I fly my drones in the winter, I make sure that I bring my drone back and I land at around 40%. I want to make sure that I am about 500 feet of my takeoff point when I am approaching that 40% mark. Drones and cold weather, especially with the batteries, do not go hand in hand. So you want to make sure that you are very conservative when flying your drone in cold climates. Not only that, but you also have to be wary of any moisture on your propeller. So recently I was flying at Croton Dam with some of the guys here locally in New York City, and I was flying very, very close to that falls, to that dam. And when I returned back home and I looked at my drone, the first thing I noticed was that my props were full of ice. Now, think about it. You got moisture from the falls hitting the propellers. Your propellers are spinning at a high RPM. It is about 10 degrees outside. What do you think is going to happen? Your props are going to freeze. And if your props do freeze significantly, you can face some issues with your drone. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I'm pretty sure that the drone might actually have a hard time flying back to you, or might actually descend and fall, which is not something that you will want to do. So that is tip number one, is flying from your car. I'm giving you that perspective from a warmth perspective and also from keeping your drone safe. Now, the second thing you can do if you are uncomfortable flying from the vehicle, as I was when I first started flying in the colder climates, is make sure that you gear up. And by gearing up, I mean, wear gloves, wear a heated jacket, wear multiple layers, and then take breaks. You also want to make sure that you keep your batteries, as I spoke about a few minutes ago, keep your battery in a warm place, whether that's in your vehicle, if your vehicle is going to stay on with the heat on, or put the batteries inside of your pockets, sort of pressed against your body, because your body temperature is going to make sure to keep those batteries warm, and that is also very important. Now, the last thing I want to cover regarding flying in the colder climates, especially around snow, is that you want to make sure that you get either a landing pad or that you get really good at hand catching and hand launching your drone. With the Avata, it's actually very easy. You can hover to yourself and just flip it over, grab it and flip it over. It will disarm the motor. For the Mavic series or the Mini series, just make sure that you are descending slow, nice and slow. Put your hand directly under the drone and just grab it right from the back here underneath. Very safe operation, but you want to make sure that you practice that. Otherwise, I do not suggest that you land any of these drones on top of snow, because when you think about what you're doing, the propellers are spinning, the drone is coming down. You sometimes can push snow into the motors. You can push snow into the crevice of the shell here, and that's going to cause some moisture. It's going to cause condensation in your drone, and that's something that you want to avoid. You don't want water on any of your electronics, especially your drone. So those are my top tips. It is keeping warm, whether you're going to be using gear to keep warm or you're going to be staying in your car. but more importantly, I think also understanding that your drone is now facing an intense climate and you want to make sure that you take some safety precautions when flying, whether in colder months or in the snow or during a snowstorm. All things that these DJI drones are very capable of. You just want to make sure that you use precaution. And I've actually have started to really enjoy flying in the cold months because, as I mentioned, sometimes flying the same places over and over can get very stale, can get quite boring. But when you mix in that cold climate through ice or through snow, the area just looks absolutely beautiful, and it transforms the city or the locations or the landscapes that you typically fly into something really extraordinary. So let me know if this is something that was interesting to you. Depending on where you're located, you are still probably in colder climates. I know most of the country here in the United States, we are now moving over to spring, and I know most of us are looking forward to that. If you did fly your drone in the winter months, make sure that you leave me a comment down below. You can even link me one of your videos and I'll make sure that I check that out. I hope you found this video extremely helpful. I know that these tips were helpful for me, and it has kind of been a game changer in capturing some of this epic snow content that we've had here in New York City. New York City has been in the snow drought for like 7 years, and we finally got some decent snow, and I wanted to make sure that I went ahead and showcased that with you today. So thank you again for all the support. We're back to normal scheduled content when it comes to drones, and I look forward to sharing some more tips with you guys soon. Until next time, peace.